Hi everyone, I'm Nate, an Oxford graduate engineer, avid learner and passionate entrepreneur. And in today's YouTube video, I'll be discussing the difficulties of having a new YouTube channel and also why it's so hard to be successful in this. And as I've touched in previous videos, it's very easy to think that the issue with your channel not growing so quickly is because of your quality of content in terms of your audio and the actual video camera being used. But I don't think this is actually the case. Now sure, it will help to have a great video and great camera, but I've seen many channels with millions of subscribers and views who look pretty basic in their setup. So it's not that, in my opinion. So what's holding you back then? What's holding your channel back from doing well? And of course, the main thing here really is the algorithm. And there are many things that come into this, such as your click-through rate, your number of shares and likes, which I've mentioned in a different video. But the main thing is a chicken and egg scenario, which I like to think about, which is the amount of people who, when they click on your video, they'll see a lovely thumbnail, which is not hard to do. So hopefully that's a guaranteed thing you have. So they'll click on your video and suddenly they will see that you've got very few subscribers and very few views. And subconsciously, they think this must be bad content, so must click away. Whereas instead, if they've seen a video come up and goes, wow, 2.5 million subscribers, this must be good content. There's been validation from the public that it's good stuff. So what happens? You watch that video. And again, it can't be that the main rationale for clicking away on those lower view videos is the bad quality content. Because like I said, I've seen channels out there with not great content visually, but doing amazingly in terms of views and subscribers. And I feel bad saying this because I also myself am guilty of doing that, of clicking away from content, which when I see the number of followers isn't very high. And that sadly is what ends up killing the content, killing that video. Because when, let's say, a content initially is being uploaded to YouTube, and let's say YouTube goes, we're gonna show 10, 20 people your video. I mean, you won't get much more than that initially. I know TikTok might have like 200 views being the default, shared to random people. That, from what I'm seeing, isn't the case for YouTube. So let's say now there's been 10 people, and then let's say 9 out of 10 people go, rubbish, click away in the first literally like 10 seconds, if or less than that. So it could be a 1% watch through rate. Well, that immediately stops any virality happening in that content. So hopefully you can now see the problem there. How can you get past that when you're trying to start out and you keep getting your content just basically shut down by low view rate? Which can be a shame because the content itself might be fantastic, but it's just not given the chance to be seen. So what's the verdict? What's the solution? And what I can say for certain is that what it is not is doing YouTube advertising, okay? I've done this and I'll make a separate video just about this, but it is not the way to go. And you'll have to wait for that video to watch out and find out why, but not YouTube advertising. So what can we do that will help? And this solution is one that can work, which is if you can somehow, by day one, let's say by the time you've done your first video, already have very quickly many real subscribers, let's say your close friends, your family. Let's say you can get 200 subscribers before you do your first video. Well then right there, when your content is released, your video, hopefully if you can get these people to watch your content, at least past the halfway point of your video, then suddenly YouTube algorithm will go, this is some good stuff. Okay, let's send this stuff to other people, okay? Now sure, YouTube has to still work out what your genre is, what your niche is, to send to the right people, but you've got a little boost there of a good chunk of people who are giving you good metrics. And a good example of this recently was that Cristiano Ronaldo made his YouTube channel and almost immediately had millions of subscribers and views. Now, see, how can that happen? Because from his Instagram or any social media he had before YouTube, of course, you immediately jumped onto his YouTube. So of course the algorithm will then go, bam, let's keep showing more people this because it's great content, it's being viewed. Okay, that's a very extreme scenario, which does showcase how that might work. Now, and of course, many of those extra views are from people from other social media coming to the platform, but there will also be people who will have seen it because of being showed it by YouTube. Like me personally, I came across a video organically as opposed to me trying to find it from, let's say, Instagram. So it does work. Now, the slight problem with this technique is that unless, let's say, you're a student still at school with many of your, say, year group and your friends who love social media, as to say an adult, you're probably going to struggle to get 200 people, let's say, to subscribe to your channel, and on top of that, not just subscribe, but also to then actually watch your content and for a good amount of time and not leave early and scupper and lower the metrics. But look, the main point here is that I do believe you should still reach out to as many people as possible just to help your odds. What I will say from my personal experience, I didn't do any of that. For me, actually, personally, I probably had about 5 to 10 of my closest family and friends who knew about this channel when I started out. And my vision was, well, when I have 50 to 100 videos and subscribers, then I'll reach out and show people. Because I think deep down, I didn't want people to see my initial content not being so good. But that, by the way, is not what you should do. Really, you should go, screw it. I'm doing some content and that's that. But anyway, ultimately for me, like I was saying beforehand, even if I had reached out, I don't think I had 200 close friends who are all going to watch my content the whole way through. But that is going to be a concern and a challenge. Right, so there's one last technique here, which is an obvious one, okay? But it's simply being consistent with the content and then hoping, okay, that the algorithm will in time essentially work in your favor, okay? And what I mean by this is, I think I mentioned it earlier, but ultimately, for your content to go viral and start doing well, you need to improve those metrics, okay? The likes, the click-through rate, the watch-through rate. These have to improve. How will that improve? Well, you want people to watch your content, to be shown your content, who are going to watch your content the whole way through, okay? So let's say you're making content about football, okay? If you're being shown your content to someone who literally couldn't care less about football, well, of course, that's gonna immediately stop your video in its tracks right there and then, because you're gonna get a low click-through rates, bam, awful, that video in the bin. That's what happens, essentially. So you're basically hoping that YouTube can basically figure out what on earth your content is and then send it to people who are going to watch your content. Sure, of course, the better content you make means the easier it is for the viewers to stay along for the whole video. That's important. But of course, it's a losing battle if from the get-go the person watching your content doesn't care about what you're making. So that's very important. I think that's where being consistent works for two separate things. Firstly, it gives YouTube more time to work it out. Because let's say, for example, if you upload videos, let's say once a week, that in 1 year, you've made 50 videos. That in the grand scheme of things isn't that large, okay? Just for a piece of kind of knowledge or advice here, I do a lot of machine learning now. And when I say I'm training my models for machine learning, we're not talking about 50 data points. We're talking about thousands, if not millions of data points here to properly make things understand. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that YouTube right there is using AI models. It probably is in some regards. But the point I'm making here is that 50 isn't enough. So you might think, I've done 50 videos. Well, maybe again, if your content, a bit like mine, isn't obvious, it's not one particular niche, you're not right there perhaps doing hashtag this, hashtag that, like on Instagram, where people know what your content is. YouTube might need more time on that, okay? YouTube will also probably go off what, let's say one person watches your content and happens to like it, then YouTube will probably go, right, let's see that person videos that they've watched, find people who've watched those videos because they must like the same things and show your content to those people. But it might be a coincidence that the first person watched your content and the next 10 people hate your content and they watch it again. You're back to square one here. So you're basically hoping here that with enough time, YouTube can sort out what is your target audience. And then a second point there is that once you're in that situation, you're going to have, let's say you're doing 2 a week, so you got 100 videos roughly after 1 year. Well, now suddenly there's 100 of your videos on YouTube to be found, to be promoted. Whereas in, let's say, your first month of 2 a week, you've only got 8 videos. So of course, there's much fewer amounts of your content online to be seen. So it kind of works kind of exponentially, it all adds up at the same time. And that's why so often you see these, let's say, famous YouTubers who talk about how for the first 9 months, 12 months, 2 years, they had very, very, very slow growth, okay? Almost nothing, until suddenly it picked up. And it makes sense, because what happened there is probably at that point, the algorithm kind of sussed out who the target audience was, who wanted to watch the content. Exponential, okay? Those 10 people watch more than, let's say, 50% of the video. Brilliant, let's show 10 more people. They then show those 10 people with similar traits to other people, and it keeps going, okay? And then those people can then see the rest of your content if they liked it, and it keeps going. But that's the bit here. You're hoping, because we've got no science really here, that your content can be quickly made, say, viral by the algorithm. And just remember, there is no guarantees here. It might be that you do videos for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, and it doesn't end up doing well for you. There's no guarantees. But actually, sadly, you won't want to hear this, but I believe it's actually getting a lot harder to also make it on YouTube, because there's so many people now, let's say, who are being, let's say, honest and speaking about their experiences, and often they say stuff like, you've got to be consistent and stick it through for a year. Often you hear this 1 year mark mentioned. Now, hopefully you might see this is not very helpful for everyone else. Because initially, let's say before these content was out there, no one knew how long it would take to go viral. So why is that important here? Because let's say an average person goes, right, I'm going to make some YouTube content and go viral. And now they've been doing it for 1 month, 2 months. What normally happens here is for most human beings, once they see no progress, there's nothing, like I'm still on 10 views, let's say, most just give up, okay? Because there's no light at the end of the tunnel. They haven't got a time frame. It's just, well, what's the point here? I'm doing it, it's not working, okay? And I can say from experience that I've now been doing this for about roughly 7 months or so, 7, 8 months, of which the last month actually for Christmas, I'm being a bit ill actually, couldn't do much content. But even those 7, 8 months, that feels like a long time when you're making this content and doing the edits, etc. So back in the day when no one knew about this, 1 year time frame, as they're saying it, well then the amount of people who actually would persevere to once a week or twice a week make content and upload it, very few people made it to that 1 year mark. So now the YouTube algorithm goes, right, it can either reward people for being consistent on their platform, brilliant, in promoting their platform, and then go, brilliant, these now videos are what we like here, it's got now 100 videos, say by year 2, 200 videos, make it go viral. Why is this now not helpful right now? Because now that people know this 1 year mark, what's going to happen here is more people, when they hit that 3, 4, 5 month, say hard patch, will go, I'm not far away. Say 4 months in, I'm a third of the way there. 6 months in, I'm now halfway there. And they're going to keep on going, which does not help you if you want to make a channel. Because then when you hit your 1 year mark, it's not just you and 10 other people, it's you and a million, whatever it is. A lot more people are now getting to that stage because it's an easier concept kind of to manage and swallow if you know it's only 12 months away. So what does that actually mean? That when people say here that it took them 12 months, 4, 5, 6 years ago, nowadays, I would say add an extra 2 or 3 years to that. Because ultimately, the way for you to win in this scenario, if it's a case of being consistent here and having the most content, etc., well, it's a competition here. You've got to beat the rest of the other YouTubers, essentially. And if they're all going to 1 year, you've got to surpass them. Basically, be the most resilient here, who could hold out the longest. So, in some ways, you're kind of hoping that these other kind of channels out there wouldn't be saying this, or they would say it takes 1 month, just 1 month to go viral, and everyone then gives up. Okay, but no, in all seriousness, I appreciate that these channels are being honest here. But that's just the reality. I think that's at least my opinion on this matter. If you agree or disagree, let me know in the comments. But anyway, that in a nutshell is what I think are the biggest difficulties and challenges when trying to start a channel and be successful on it. So hopefully you enjoy this video and hopefully you have some insights, and maybe you might have found a better path or way to optimize what I've been telling you right now and make it to work. And if so, fantastic, and please share it with us. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button and bell notification. Feel free to leave any comments and any suggestions for future content. And as ever, onwards and upwards.